I think the difficulty in Spider's case, where he is not falling into any of those neat buckets, is because he requires such amount of care. So if you, to be honest, he requires what I consider a skilled nursing facility level of care.
And when we look around for other options, you know, we thought about, gosh, what if we were just to put him up in a motel? There are no rules or anything like that, just a, you know, a minimum of behavioral standards, and a hotel or a motel might work. This doesn't work because he can't control his, you know, where he uses the restroom. He makes a mess. He smokes all the time, and that includes smoking in bed.
Now, the difficulty is, I think, again, with the whole healthcare system in the U.S., and also just the way that not only healthcare, but U.S. in general, is that we don't really have a place for people to go who are in that condition, who need that level of care. Yes, there are skilled nursing facilities out there, but they don't usually take people on that long-term of a basis. And so it is a struggle. I mean, you know.
These places don't exist. And if they did, they'd be for shorter term. He's going to need a long time. He's going to need help detoxing from alcohol. He's going to need help with all of his basic needs. And so, you know, to date, he's still on the street.
Do you like drinking?
Yeah. It keeps my nerves calm.
Do you ever wish you could stop?
No. Why should I stop? There's nothing to stop for.
What was that? I couldn't hear you.
I said, why should I stop? There's nobody around to stop. I have nobody to share my drinks, my cigarettes, and to share my life with.
It's hard because I think with alcoholism, it's tough because there is that dependence, there is that draw that causes him to have those behaviors, to go back and seek the alcohol, and once he's intoxicated then has behaviors that will sabotage himself. So yes, he does choose to drink, but then yes, there is a dependence. So it's, to me, it's very messy, actually, I think.
At some level, most people decide it's probably not worth the resource allocation to continue to work with him, so long as he continues to be the primary obstacle. Hey Spider, do you want any food? You want us to get you some mac and cheese or something?
Why don't you just go home and dry up?
I don't know if that's a yes or a no.
Take it any way you want it.
Well, what do you, I don't want to go get it if you're not going to eat it.
I got my own.
You got your own? Okay. Where did you get that?
Out of the garbage.
Did you? I don't get it,
Why
Spider.
do you guys ask stupid questions?
I don't know why that's a stupid question. I thought we were
Let
talking
me
about
listen to my goddamn song.
How do we help people like Spider, who are not crazy, who can't be picked up and put into a mental institution against their will, and yet they're on the streets? And do we, I wanted to ask the question, do we as a society have an obligation to help people like Spider, who sometimes don't even want to help themselves? How far do we go?
Things that we realized was that every single time we brought him to the hospital, he would detox, and then he would want to leave, and he left out again. And the problem is that the way that conservatorship or that the state is, I mean, basically, or the county, or just the way the legal system is that if Spider says that he wants to do something and he's able to say why and articulate that, we can't do anything against his will.
Where do we stand, and how do we come to a decision to move forward with something like this when it would be clearly a violation of his will to have him locked up against his will, right? Because clearly he would be opposed to it. My thought is that he is already in a situation against his will. He does not want to be on the street. He does not want to have to scrounge for food. He does not want to live in his own filth. But the way that we've organized society, we see one set of circumstances that are opposed to his will as being acceptable, which is his situation right now. And we see another putting him in a locked facility, even though he'd be healthy, well taken care of and everything, but he might say, I don't want to be here. We see that as sort of violating the sanctity of his will.
I think we have to change the law that allows public health officials to take someone off the streets against their will. We have to come up with a better definition of when is somebody a threat to himself. And I look at Spider, a chronic alcoholic, and in his physical condition, that chronic alcoholism makes him a threat to himself.
So it seems in Spider's case that, you know, we're all born with natural abilities. We have varying degrees of intelligence, varying degrees of physical agility or strength. And to design a society that rewarded the physically strong, say, above all else, and the stronger you were, the better access you would have to food, for example, to the point where those who were physically weak would not be allowed to eat. We would all balk at that. That would be ridiculous and inhumane, right? Likewise, for intelligence, most of us would believe that intelligence shouldn't be the determining factor as to whether or not you have your basic needs met. And for those who are severely mentally impaired, we make sure that those needs are provided for them in our society. I wonder, as I've worked with so many individuals that have been homeless, if there isn't maybe something similar at play with one's ability to make decisions, to exercise judgment. In our society, we don't take that into account. We assume that that is at some level equal among all people. But if it's not, and if there's any, if that is an innate characteristic especially, then is that something we really want to state is a determining factor as to whether or not someone lives a healthy life?
I think that sort of attitude that, let the chronic alcoholics and drug addicts go on with their pathetic lives with no help from us is a sad attitude, particularly because we've eliminated all the housing for them. In the old days, we alcoholics had places to live. We adopted public policies that destroyed that housing, and we have given them no other housing option. And so I think we're obligated to help them in any way we can.
I think I would like to say that I think Spider is here and just Spider's condition is a manifestation of where we have fallen short as a country, as a society, but that in order to care for someone like Spider, that we need to all come together and to sort of put down titles, roles, positions, and just kind of come around him.
And so Spider encapsulates these huge cultural issues for us to struggle with. But I think so long as we can look him in the eye and realize that this is a human being, that there really isn't any question that we have an obligation to help him, no matter what he does. It's irrelevant because he has that right and that inherent worth. And so it's incumbent upon all of us to do that. And likewise, it's incumbent upon us not to give up. For us to give up would be, we would be guilty of a grave injustice. And so that's why we need, as a community, to continue to work with Spider and the others who are in his situation, because we become the culpable ones if we give up. Even if we don't succeed, and I don't know what success will look like with Spider, giving up is unacceptable.
Oh, there's a song out from KRTY.
Yeah?
This is only a temporary home for the time being.
Is that how you feel?
Well, Because I'm not getting any younger now, don't you think? We all aren't, in fact.
That's true.
Because once you go, you're going to see him, or you could see him. But I'm not going there. I'm going up there.